37 aircraft lose navigation at 13:47 hours. No warning, just flight systems failing across 6 different nations simultaneously. June 28, 2026. Pacific waters 120 nautical miles northwest of Honolulu. RIMPAC 2026. Day 12 of the largest multinational naval exercise in history. 26 nations, 47 surface ships, 5 submarines, and right now 37 jets running coordinated strike simulation. The formation includes American F/A-18 Super Hornets from USS Carl Vinson, Japanese F-2s, Australian F/A-18Fs, Canadian CF-188s, South Korean F-15Ks, British F-35Bs, all executing precision attack patterns against a target ship. Their flight music paths synchronized down to the second. 12 Mi from the exercise boundary, a Chinese Type 055 destroyer sits in international waters. Hull 101 invited observer nation, permitted to watch. Crew visible on deck with cameras documenting the drill like they've done for the past 11 days. 13:40 hours, the airstrike reaches its peak. 8 American Super Hornets diving toward the target in perfect sequence. 6 Japanese fighters holding their approach vectors. The timing requires exact positioning, aircraft spaced by specific distances, altitudes calculated to avoid fratricide. Then, at 13:47, the first jet breaks formation. A U.S. Navy F/A-18 from Carl Vinson veers music 15 degrees off its planned course. The pilot corrects manually, continues the run. Standard procedure when instruments act up. But music more aircraft drift from their flight paths within seconds, Japanese F-2s wandering east instead of holding their assigned positions. Not dramatic breaks, just slow, steady deviation. Within 90 seconds, the entire formation scatters. 37 aircraft, 6 nations, all experiencing the same anomaly at the same moment. Pilots radio exercise control with identical reports, instruments showing conflicting data, backup systems struggling, primary guidance, music degraded. An Australian F/A-18F closes too tight on a Canadian CF-18 as both jets deviate from coordinated spacing. The pilots see each other through canopies, bank away, create separation using visual references, and decades music of training. Exercise control orders, immediate abort. All aircraft return to carriers using backup methods, visual navigation, inertial systems, the old music ways that don't rely on satellites. The drill collapses, jets breaking off in different directions, music trying to maintain safe distance without the precision guidance that makes modern warfare possible. Not chaos. Music. These are professional military pilots, but disorder. Confusion spreading through radio, music channels in English, Japanese, Korean. Hull 101 sits motionless at the perimeter, still within international waters, music still within observer rights, still crew on deck. No weapons active, no aggressive maneuvers, just watching. 13:52 hours. USS Carl Vinson dispatches destroyer USS Wayne E. Mayer to investigate the Chinese warship. Mayer's captain has simple orders. Find out what Hull 101 is doing while 37 aircraft struggle back to their carriers without the navigation systems they've trained on for years. The American destroyer runs at 25 knots across calm Pacific swells, closing the distance to the observer vessel that's been sitting in the same spot since dawn. At 13:59 hours, exactly 12 minutes after the disruption began, all 37 aircraft suddenly regain full capability, and Hull 101's crew starts dismantling visible music antenna equipment on deck. Flight systems restore across all 37 jets simultaneously, just like they failed. One moment degraded, next moment functioning normally. Pilots report full capability, instruments back online. No residual issues, no warning before the loss. No explanation for the restoration. But the timing tells its own story. 12 minutes of disruption, then instant recovery, too precise to be coincidence. Music, too coordinated to be equipment failure. USS Wayne E. Mayer arrives within visual range of Hull 101, close enough to see Chinese crew on deck, breaking down specialized antenna arrays. Equipment being quickly stowed below. Not the standard observation gear that's been visible for 11 days. Something else. Something temporary. RIMPAC Exercise Control makes the call. Suspend all operations pending music investigation. $412 million of multinational training. 2 weeks of planning. 26 nations, music coordinating across time zones and languages. 47 surface ships positioned music across hundreds of square miles, all halted. USS Carl Vinson recalls its aircraft orders combat air patrol using backup methods only. No reliance on systems that just failed without explanation. Mir's captain attempts radio contact with Hull 101, requesting explanation for the antenna activity, for the timing for what happened at exactly 13:47 hours. The Chinese destroyer responds in clear English, conducting authorized electromagnetic environment, monitoring as observer nation, all activities within international law. The answer raises music more questions than it resolves. Monitoring doesn't require temporary antenna arrays, doesn't require equipment that gets dismantled the moment systems restore. Australian frigate HMAS, Music, Brisbane joins Meyer, both ships now bracketing the PLN vessel. Not aggressive music positioning, just presence, just making clear that Hull 101 is being watched as closely as it was watching RIMPAC. More evidence arrives music through radio channels. Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force reports their F-2s experienced identical loss pattern. All 6 aircraft at exactly 13:47 hours. All 6 recovered at 13:59. South Korean pilots confirmed the same timeline. 13:47, music start, 13:59 restoration, 12 minutes precise. The pattern, music, is undeniable. Not natural interference from solar activity, not equipment malfunction affecting random aircraft, deliberate disruption, music, across specific frequencies. Time to disrupt but not endanger. Professional execution, military-grade music capability. 14:15 hours. U.S. Pacific Fleet Command issues new orders. Detain Hull 101's electronic warfare crew for questioning. International maritime law allows investigation of potential safety violations during multinational exercises. When 37 aircraft lose navigation simultaneously, that qualifies. Meyer and Brisbane position themselves on either side of the Chinese destroyer. Not threatening, not blocking, just establishing that Hull 101 isn't leaving until questions get answered. Hull 101's captain responds by radio after 5 minutes of silence. We will cooperate with investigation, requesting neutral port for interviews. The statement carries weight. Cooperation means acknowledgement, not admission of intent, but recognition that something happened, something requiring explanation. By 14:30 hours, Hull 101 sits motionless between 2 Allied warships, music, while RIMPAC 2026, the largest naval exercise in history, remains suspended. 47 ships idle, waiting for answers about what just happened in their own training waters. 14:45 hours. Hull 101 agrees to proceed to Pearl Harbor under escort, not under arrest, under investigation. The distinction matters in international maritime law. 21 Chinese personnel identified as specialists. Their crew documentation lists them as communications technicians, but their equipment suggests different expertise, different mission. June 29, 2026. RIMPAC participants convene emergency meeting at Pearl Harbor. 26 nations sending representatives. Everyone wants to understand how observer status became opportunity for testing electronic capabilities against Allied aircraft. NATO releases statement at 0900 hours. Deliberate electronic interference during multinational exercise represents music, serious breach of observer protocols and international maritime safety. The words are diplomatic. The message, music, is clear. This crossed lines. The 21 crew members disembark for questioning. They bring documentation showing their equipment was testing electromagnetic music environment for scientific research. Technical papers, research proposals, everything official and approved through proper channels. But the timing was too precise, the targeting too specific. Music, the execution too professional for simple research. This was capability demonstration. Music, testing how Allied aircraft respond when their primary systems fail, measuring reaction times, observing music backup procedures, gathering intelligence under cover of legitimate music observation. Exercise planners calculate the cost. $412. Music million for 2 weeks of RIMPAC operations, now suspended indefinitely pending security, music review. 26 nations face the decision. Continue with potential electronic music threat present, or cancel entirely, trust that it won't happen again, or acknowledge that observer status is now a vulnerability. June 30, 2026. Initial investigation findings leak through media channels. Hull 101's disruption equipment was concealed as standard maritime communications gear. The antenna arrays dismantled at 13:59 hours were temporary installations, not permanent ship systems brought aboard specifically for RIMPAC observation period removed the moment their purpose was complete. July 2, 2026. RIMPAC officially suspended for operational security review. First time in the exercise's 50-year history, a complete suspension has occurred. The precedent echoes across military planning staffs worldwide. The 21 detained crew complete their interviews. They maintain their position. Unintentional interference during electromagnetic research. Not jamming, not deliberate disruption, just unfortunate overlap between research frequencies, music, and aircraft systems. They're released to Chinese diplomatic custody. Music. No formal charges, just formal protests through official channels. Hull 101 departs Pearl Harbor on July 3, heading west toward international waters. Mission complete. Data gathered. Capabilities demonstrated. Lesson delivered to 26 music nations about the vulnerability of systems they depend on. July 5, 2026. Music new development arrives through diplomatic channels. Second Chinese Type 055 destroyer requests observer status for upcoming music European naval exercise Boltops in Baltic Sea. Same class ship, similar crew composition, same electromagnetic research mission listed in official observer request. Different ocean, same pattern. NATO members analyze the mathematics. RIMPAC music disrupted for 12 minutes. Exercise suspended. $412, music, million lost. Now China wants to observe ball music tops with identical capabilities. Military planners see the implication. Music. Every multinational exercise now carries risk. Every observer nation potentially testing capabilities under legitimate cover. Every training operation potentially compromised. U.S. Navy, music updates protocols. Observer nations restricted to minimum 25 nautical miles from exercise areas. Music. No electronic equipment beyond basic communications. New rules written in response, music, to what Hull 101 demonstrated, but international waters mean enforcement is limited. Music requests can be denied, access can be restricted, but preventing observation entirely conflicts with the transparency, music, that multinational exercises are designed to promote. On July 8th, the second music Type EO-55 destroyer departs Chinese waters heading northwest toward Baltic Sea. Music. Its crew roster listing 19 communications technicians and NATO still debating whether to allow the observation request. Music.